Good evening, Jen, Max. I am super excited to have a live stream coming back. I haven't done a live stream in quite a while. Actually, I was talking to some folks over at YouTube today, and they're like, get back on live stream. So here we are. I am super excited to have Bernardo from Actinver back on the show. He's been in a number of videos. I don't think we've done a live stream before, but yeah, this is going to be your opportunity to ask any questions you might have about investing in Mexico. So Bernardo, maybe you should introduce yourself and just tell people a little bit about Actinver.
Yeah, well, I'm Bernardo Gonzalez, and I'm director of the Expat Service in Actinver Bank. I am in charge of Cancun, San Miguel de Allende, Ajijic, Vallarta, Querétaro, and Los Cabos office. Actinver is a Mexican financial group that was put up about 30 years ago, and it has grown very fast. We have offices all throughout Mexico, and we also have our investment bank in Houston, in Phoenix, and in Madrid also. And we're planning to open Luxembourg in hopefully a very short time. We're dedicated more into investment banking than retail banking, and we try to get the best rates in the market. That's our specialty.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for being here. And maybe the first question is a question that I have, and that is, what's the difference between retail banking and investment banking?
Yes, okay. So retail banking will want to go for, let's say, your credit card, or we want to go for a nomina or like employment, right? Retail banking goes to a corporate. They say, I want to have all your employees in my bank and want to give them the service, and they're going to the mass, yeah? So we do investment banking is a little bit more smaller, but it is a personalized service. We do have all the digital attention, like 1-800 numbers, digital platforms, but normally when you work with Actinver, you will have a dedicated banker to solve all your things and to take care of you.
Great. And I am an Actinver customer. So Diana is my person who takes care of everything for me. So thank you so much for that. So we've got some folks on now, and I'd love to know, we've already got some questions in the queue, which is great. So put the questions in there, but I'd also like to hear who's here and where you're from. So I am Brighton West, and I am here in La Paz. And last week I was in Guanajuato, San Miguel de Allende, and Querétaro, which is where Bernardo is now. So out having, what were you doing? What is it that you're doing in Querétaro again?
We have the kickoff from the company. So all the directors from the branches and for corporate office, we are put together so we can solve some things and serve our market better. Like I'm telling our guys from exchange rate what we can do better. We're talking with the guys from, let's say, leasing, what we can do better. So we also have some speakers, so to get like leadership stuff, because we are the team that are in charge of the whole promoting network. Like we have 700 advisors out there, and it is led by around 58 branch directors, and between 3 different divisions that goes from Cabo to Cancun all throughout Mexico. So we're getting like, we're putting up what we want to achieve this year and how we want to serve our customers as well.
Great. So, and I've asked people to comment here, to leave a comment. I'm a little bit nervous here because I'm not seeing people comment. So if you are on, please leave a comment. And if I don't see anything pop up, I'm going to assume that something's broken. And I noticed earlier today when I was looking at the comments for this live stream, only the most recent comment was showing up. So something looked to be broken earlier. So, and if there is something broken, what we're going to do is we're going to make sure all these questions get answered, even if they don't get answered live here. There'll be the replay of the video is going to have, or we'll put out another video or something like that. I'll make sure it works out. But yeah. Oh, looks like I've got someone. Okay, so here we go. This Dave from Niagara, Ontario. That means that it is working. So all the rest of you out there, get on those keyboards and type and tell us where you are and what your name is. So Dave, thank you for confirming that things are working for us. And the other thing that I like is, these are in the evening, so it's happy hour. So it's 5 o'clock somewhere, and what I'd like to do is have a drink with this. So the next thing I want is, first I want your name and your place, but then next is if you are participating in the happy hour, what you're drinking. It doesn't need to be alcoholic, but I have here a tequila sunrise. So I've been waiting to mix it up so I could show you guys this drink first before I mixed it up. So, but Bernardo, seeing as you're on camera, what is in
Yes,
your glass tonight?
I have a Cuba Libre, which is rum with some mineral water and a little bit of Coke. It's very good.
Very good. Very good. Okay. So we also have here Marshall from Lewiston, Idaho, and is going to be moving
To
to.
Guaymas, San Carlos. Beautiful place.
Where is that?
Beauti-
What part of the country is that?
That's Sonora, Brighton,
Okay.
and that will be like the other side of the Baja.
Yeah.
Like it's in the Sea of Cortez in the north part. Guaymas is very famous for oysters. Look for the oysters in Guaymas and San Carlos. Actually, their baseball team is called the Oysterers from Guaymas. It has a beautiful ocean, beautiful nature, beautiful people as well. It's a very nice place to be.
Very good.
Very nice.
Cool. Thank you, Marshall, for being here. So also Henderson, Nevada, and that's Adrian. And it's 5 o'clock there. That's perfect.
There you go.
Yep. So Brian here from Wilsonville. So yes, we met at a happy hour up in Portland. So and he's on vacation in PV. So
Puerto Vallarta, beautiful.
Yes, Puerto Vallarta. Wonderful. Valerie from Colorado is on. And then we're starting to get some questions from Dave. So let's see here. Oh, we've got, before I get to questions that are of substance, I want to make sure the important things here. Participating in happy hour with some white wine and a beer chaser. Don't mix the grape with the grain, laddie. But you are making it happen tonight. So feel free to keep commenting with where you are from or where you're coming in from and what you're drinking and also your questions. But first, I want to start out with some questions here that came in earlier. And these actually were something called a super chat. So a super chat is something where you can actually make a donation to my channel along with your comment. I'm worried that they're not showing up here. So if you do try to make a super chat tonight to support this channel and it doesn't show up, or if I don't actually answer it, and that means I'm not seeing it. So leave a regular chat too. Like I said, I think something's a little bit up with these comments today. And we also have Mateus from La Paz, so just down the street from me.
Hi, Mateus.
Okay, so let me go and get the questions, the first questions, the super chats that came in. These are kind of wonky questions. So Bernardo, if you could answer them and kind of explain a little bit about what is being asked here. I won't be able to put these up on the screen just because of the way the system's working. But so first question, spouse has Mexican citizenship. Can investments be in her name regardless of her RFC regimen? Do we need the proof of income source? So a couple of questions there mixed together.
Yeah. Well, yes, it can be open at your wife's name. That's no problem. But she will need to declare that the money comes from her husband, and that's it. We only need to know the procedence of the money. And so she say, this is money that my husband gave me, and this is the name of my husband. That will do it. Maybe if it's too much money, we'll need to identify the owner, the source of the money. But it's what it is. Yeah. In Mexico, just for all you to know, it's banking is very strict on compliance regulation because of the history of drug dealing and also money laundering. Yeah. So any questions of this or that is just because we need to make sure that the money comes from a trustable source. Yeah.
From legitimate places.
Yes, legitimate. Yes.
Okay.
That's right.
Okay, so let me move on here to the second question that's a super chat. How does capital gains taxation work and the rates in Mexico for non-real estate transactions?
Okay, go ahead.
And actually, let me continue on this. Do I still need to file with SAT after you withhold taxes? This is a great question, I think.
If you're a foreigner, you don't need to file with SAT after taxes. The banks have the obligation to retain, in the case of stocks or the stock market or an ETF or something, we need to retain 10% of the gain. Yeah, and that's on your behalf. And after that, if you declare in the States, what are you making in Mexico? Some people do, some people don't. But if you do it and you do it by the book, you should not be double taxated. But let's say the United States tax 20% on capital gains on stocks and Mexico 10%, you should be paying the other 10% in the States with your accountant. Yeah.
Okay. So, but 10% is the rate for capital gains
In stocks.
In stocks.
Yeah.
And in real estate, it's much more, right? It's like 30% or something, or
it's 35%. Yeah.
35%.
32, 35, depending on the amount. Yes.
Okay.
But if you're investing in fixed income, it's only 0.95 of the rate that you got. Okay.
So like when you say investing in fixed income, something like a CD?
Like a CD or a equity fund, which is in fixed income, or other different funds or investment funds we have, like you can make passive income. So, but you're going to be, the banks are obligated to retain that tax for you.
Okay. But you're not obligated to file the tax unless you have some other forms of income, Airbnb, things like that.
For the Mexican authority, that tax is being paid on your behalf to Hacienda, to the Mexican IRS. Yeah. So
okay. Good. So last super chat question that came in earlier is, can you help create a peso-based source of passive income that preserves liquidity and avoids U.S. compliance issues? So these are getting wonky, and then we're going to go with some other questions that might be a little more simple.
It's very interesting. I mean, normally foreigners really compromise or I don't know, commit to their tax authorities in the States or in Europe or wherever, because it's a discipline you guys have. But in my experience, we have never been asked from other country, or I mean, we have never been asked a name or what is doing. In my experience, just once there was some questions, but this person was doing something really wrong in their country, so the accounts got blocked at some point and this, but it was because there was a worldwide search of this person, and so this happens. Yeah. But if you're doing things right and everything is okay, you shouldn't be having any trouble.
Okay, so I'm going to go back here, avoid the U.S. complications, but also a peso-based source of passive income that preserves liquidity. So can you address that part?
Well, right now, just for you to have an idea on a daily fund, meaning you have liquidity daily before 12. So in Mexico, you could be making from a 9 to a 9.8% yearly yield. Yeah. So okay. when it comes to investments, like a person who invests in the stock market would expect a 10% average. Let's say in the next 5 years, a stock guy or an ETF guy or an index guy who invests in all this, normally they expect from 10 to 12% because that's what the S&P has paid historically per year. Yeah. So in Mexico, you're getting that rate right now with very short liquidity and investing in government bonds, right? So it's the safest investment you could get in Mexico is paying that high rate. So yes, you can do it.
Okay, great. So I'm going to go back to some folks here who've just joined us. Herman, I guess that's how I pronounce that, right? Ola from Fort Lauderdale. Thank you so much for joining us. My wife is joining from the other room. Wow. She's actually watching a live stream. So from El Centenario, drinking Jamaica tea. And DJ from La Paz. I know DJ over on the other side of La Paz. So we've got some other folks here. So be sure to type your, oh, look at this. Hey, babe. I'm not sure which one of us she's talking to. So, okay. Well, Bernardo fixes his camera there.
Sorry. There you go.
He showed me earlier what he's using to hold up his camera is one of those purse racks. So he's kind of making this work where he is tonight. So let's go. I'm going to go to the top here now. And I'm just going to pop these in before I read them. So, but inquiring, my question is, can we buy ETF mutual funds that they can buy on Fidelity? Going to be living in Hermosillo in a few years, have an office there. What's available? So what's available in terms of ETFs and things that you could buy on the stock market up in the US?
Nice profile picture, Mark.
No, I like
It's very
that.
nice. Yes, you can buy the most used ETFs in the States or in worldwide. You can buy them in Mexico. We have something that is called the uh, international stock system, and most of the stocks and ETFs that has more liquidity, that people buy and sell more, they are also in Mexican market. Like you can buy Amazons, you can buy ETFs, you can buy the PAVE ETFs, you can buy some of them. I mean, if you have some questions, you can send them like specifically which ETF you would like to buy, and I can do that search for you. But yes, people, we you have to take in account that Mexican banks invest a lot more into the foreign market that they do inside Mexico. I mean, there a lot more Apple stocks being bought from Mexico than Bimbo stocks, that is a bread company. So normally someone investing from Mexico can access international assets.
That is great to know. And I'm going to pop your email address in here. So folks, if you want to email a question specific to your situation, I just put that in the chat and I'll put it up on the screen here. So you can use that to ask anything that's really specific. So, okay, I'm going to leave that up there for a second while I look through the comments here. So, and I will also have that down in the description after this is over. I'll make sure that Bernardo's contact information is down there. And if you have any questions, Bernardo is great at keeping on top of questions. He is there for the expat market who want to invest in Mexico.
While you look to the questions, Brighton, I would like to make a small comment of what's going on right now. I mean, we all know Trump is going to get into the office next week, no?
Mm-hmm.
And we have seen some volatility in the peso. I mean, peso before the elections was around 1670 or something, peso dollar, US dollar peso exchange. Right now today we saw 20.83 level. So in the next 3 months, there might be a great chance to convert dollars into pesos to use in Mexico or to do some investing in Mexico, because normally what would happen afterwards is that also the peso will start gaining some traction also against the dollar. Yeah, that's what is expected from most analysts, because regardless of what he says about immigration and this and that, the U.S. has just invested about $17 billion last 2 years in the border to get commerce through and to get merchandise through. So if we look at the numbers and if we look what's going on, maybe they want to put some tariffs, but if they put tariffs on goods that come back and forth from Mexico and the States, the people from the US will end up paying a lot more for the merchandise. So I think there's a lot of rumors. Trump likes camera, he likes to be seen. Don't really know what is going to take place in one moment, but Mexico is going to also come up with a solution, and Mexico is collaborating in a very good way with the US right now. Yeah. So another one is that Mexico maybe is a little bit importing maybe a lot of goods from China, and that's true. So at some point we're going to be not forbidden, but we want to be asked to lower our imports from China, and Mexico will have to come up with that production ourselves. So that's going to benefit also the Mexican economy. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But the main reason, because I'm telling you this, is that in the next 3 to 4 months is going to be, I think, the highest rate from the peso that we have seen in a few years.
Okay, good. Definitely time to make move some money over into your peso accounts. And that is one thing at Actinver, you're able to do dollar and peso accounts, right?
Yes, you can have pesos, dollars, and euros in your account as well.
Okay, very good to know. Okay, so let's see here. I'm going to go back to the top to look for questions. Okay, so also Mike here coming from La Paz, often coming from Seattle, but he's in La Paz right now drinking a Pacifico. And here we go. Here's a good question. How about derivatives such as futures and options? Is that something that Actinver can provide?
Yeah, we can also operate that. Normally, we use them for exports and importers. There's not that much of a speculation in Mexico as it is in other countries. But we have something that is called nota dual, which would be like an FX note, or an FX short-term bond, where you're being paid by the possibility of getting exchange, whether if it's in pesos or it's in dollars, and it is a derivative product as well, and it's making really, really high yield right now. Like just a small example, today dollar is at 20.80. We put the strike at 20.90. So if the next days, if the dollar goes higher than 20.90, you will get exchange at 20.90. You're forced to be exchanged there, but you're getting paid, let's say 18 or 19% on your dollars. Yeah.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't go up, you skip the dollars, and you also make the rate.
Okay. Sounds totally foreign to me. Not foreign as in Mexico, but foreign as in like Greek. But yeah, good to know that what's provided. Also, we've got a question about the rates that you have on CDs. And I know this is not just a simple answer. So, because I've asked it myself before. So tell us what off the top of your head, what have you got?
Well, right now I don't have access to the exact amounts and rates, but we are from 10.15 to 9.90, around that. That's a range right now.
And that range is based on the amount of money you have in there and the amount of time that you're. That's
right. But at this moment, we are in an environment where the rates are going down. Yeah. So it would be more beneficial to be in a fixed investment fund, because whatever the rate goes down, you will make as an equity. Plus, you make the rate we're paying, right? Mm-hmm. I don't know, it's a little bit hard to explain, but let's say a bond is worth 100 pesos. And if a 10% rate is being paid, that bond value right now is 90 pesos. When the rate goes down to 9% instead of 10, that bond is worth 91 pesos. So you can make some equity on the other side. And I would prefer funds at this moment than just tie you up with a CD 3 months. And then when you want to renew it, you will have an 8.5% rate, right?
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, great. So let's see here. Here's another one. Conversion rate will be in the next 6 months. So beyond your window of where you think it's going to be going up or more pesos per dollar, any do you know, does Actinver have kind of a special magic 8 ball that will predict this?
It's very difficult, but yes, there are analysis that is being done, that we can do maybe a version for your audience, that you can share with your audience. We can make a version for you to do it, Brighton. Mm-hmm. But the range that we're seeing for the next year, or analysts are seeing for the next year, is between 20.10 up to 21.20. That's kind of the range of most analysts in Mexico right now.
Okay, great. Okay, so this actually is a question we've answered. I think Luke maybe submitted his question early, and but so just give a guess. It can be in your wife's name and proof of income source. You'll need something, a big proof, or something more legitimate if it's a bigger dollar amount. Otherwise, they're just going to ask your wife where did the money come from.
Yeah, they ask what is we call it proveedor, like a supplier. Who is the supplier of the money? Is my husband. This is his name. No big deal. Yeah.
Okay, so here we have Tom, who also commented on Butters. Now he's speaking highly of the new presidenta here in Mexico, and yeah, it's but we're not going to really get into politics, especially Mexican politics and also U.S. politics. Okay, another question here: can interest rates be paid monthly?
Yes, we have monthly instruments that pay you monthly, and we also have the funds that pay you daily. They're capitalized daily, so even if you have your money only one day in the fund, you will make some interest on a 9% yearly rate, but every day you will get your share. Yeah.
Okay, very good. So DJ here in La Paz is asking for more detail on foreign reporting requirements of your bank on customer accounts. Okay, so this is essentially, what does Actinver need to tell the IRS, I guess, balance and activity of U.S. citizens to the IRS?
Yeah, normally a Mexican bank is not sharing information automatically to the IRS or to any other tax authority in the world. The only time when information is provided is when we're asked to provide it. If someone says, John Smith, I need John Smith information for the last year, he shoots that question to the Mexican IRS, to the Mexican also tax service. They say, I need to know this. then the Mexican IRS should to all the banks, and if something is found, they need to provide it. But that it has just happened once in my 15 years that I have a career. Yeah.
So it's not an automatic thing.
No.
Like I think up in the US, everything is just automatic. You make, if someone pays you, if I pay someone $600, I think the number's even gone down, that I need to file a form and tell the IRS that I gave them that money. And
it's very different because it is crossing the border, and it's the same for Mexicans in the States. It's a lot of Mexicans having bank accounts in the States, and the US authorities are not reporting to Mexican authorities unless they ask for it. Yeah.
Okay. That's good to know.
So is the obligation of the customer to report whatever they're doing, but the banks are not doing that. Okay. It's not an obligation for the banks.
Very good. Good to know. So, well, that's actually the last question here. I want to encourage people to keep asking questions. We just had one come in here. Perfect. So, Herman, another question. So great. Thank you for all the questions, Herman. Would I be taxed in either US or Mexico for bringing money into Mexico to be placed in a CD?
If you don't have a Mexican RFC or a Mexican tax number, you shouldn't be taxed in Mexico. Yeah. So the easiest way, also when the money comes from your same account, so it's proof that it's not an income, it comes from your account. If it comes from a third-party account, what we're going to be is if it's a large amount, let's say more than $300,000, $400,000. If it's come from a third-party account, we're going to be asked for any commercial documents that proves that transaction. Like some people say, I'm getting an advance from my home that I'm going to be selling the next 6 months. Well, do you have a commercial agreement? And they send us the signed commercial agreement, and that will prove whatever it is. But we are not here to tax your income on your bank account. Yeah, that's not our job.
Okay, so I'm trying to think here about exactly. So would I be taxed in either US or Mexico for bringing money into Mexico? So essentially, if it's coming from your bank account, so say this is something, if it is $400,000 that I transfer from my Capital One account, then
No questions.
That's not a problem because it was in my name in the US, and I can just show you, yep, this is where it's coming from. It's coming from me, going to me.
Yeah.
Great. So,
well, cool. the thing is the bank can see the sender. Okay, so my treasury or my finance department can see the sender and say, if it's not the same, well, I need a document that proves whatever that income is, but it's nothing to do with tax. Tax is an obligation for the customer, not for the bank.
Okay. Yep, that makes sense. So Diana is giving us a good shout out here. Thanks for the great video. Thanks all of you for watching. And once again, we've hit the end of the questions here. I'm sure there's going to be more. We're planning on going for about another half an hour if we continue to have questions. So let's see here. Okay, actually, so Tom, so we've got someone giving some additional information. Yes, I guess if you're moving money, if you've got more than 10K, and I'm not sure how much of this you know, Bernardo, but maybe you can talk about this, what's required by the IRS to report if you've got money overseas.
Yes, you should be. But that's an IRS requirement, right?
Yeah.
Not whatever you send the money, you should be reporting that, but it's not on our side, and we're not going to report the IRS that you're sending more money. That's not our part. Yeah.
Yes. So transactions over 10K, I thought it was, and this is, I don't know a heck of a lot, that if you had more than 10K in a foreign bank account, you had to fill out a form. It starts with the letter F. That's all I remember. Foreign something, 4 letters or something like that. That essentially tells the IRS that you've got money overseas. And it's something that you file when you file your taxes. It's just one more piece of paper that says, yep, I've got money sitting in bank accounts overseas. I think it's just so that they know, kind of what to expect.
Yeah. So normally when someone follows the rules, right, on every rule, like we issue at the end of the year, we issue a tax statement. Mm-hmm. And that tax statement it says how much tax you have paid in Mexico and how much money you also have. And normally a U.S. citizen, which it's most of the cases, they will send that statement to their accountant in the U.S. and they will do what they need to do in the U.S. Okay.
And John mentioned that's the F bar. Yes. Thank you, John, for for getting past that first letter. So, okay, actually, here's a good question about, do I need to reside in Mexico to purchase a CD in Mexico?
No, well, the law in Mexico says that a bank needs to prove your legal stance in the country. Okay, so my job is just to state that you're legal in Mexico, meaning that just with the stamp on the passport or the small paper they give you in the border, that's enough for me to open an account or have a CD in Mexico. There are different requirements in different banks, but this is how we do it here. Okay.
Okay, so essentially what you're saying is you could be a tourist. You don't have to have a
Yes.
residence, a permanent or a temporary residency visa. You just need to be legally in Mexico, but you do have to be in Mexico to open the account. Is that, and you have to be there physically wherever that is.
That's
that
right.
correct?
Well, the thing is, the advisors or financial advisors, we have a license to operate, and there's some certain things that we need to make sure. So we need to make sure that Brighton, who I'm meeting here, is signing the paper that I'm giving him. So if I send a paperwork through DHL or FedEx to your address, I cannot make sure that you sign it. So I mean, the line of fire is on my side, so I need to make sure the people that I'm talking to or the person I'm talking to is the one signing the paper and opening the account. But yes, it is.
Okay.
Right now, and we have been getting also tourists from Germany. There's a German flight from Cabo now, and some people from Switzerland. So it's very interesting how they see banking. They also have their tourist banking because they have different bank accounts in different places in the world, not just in here or there, but they have in Singapore, Australia, and they have fun banking. They're investing. So. And they're on vacation, so I say, I have time to listen what's the offer. I have time to listen what can be done here, and it's very different from what we're used to in the past. Just someone that is going to stay to live, but these guys maybe they're coming for three weeks a year or 4 years a week every year, but they want to have a bank account and see what they can access from the Mexican market. It's very interesting.
Yeah, and then once your account is open, because my account is opened. Actually, it was opened here in La Paz, but and hopefully we're going to do another one of those where people can come in with everything set up in advance and sign that paperwork, so that that Actinver knows that you're the one signing without going to Cabo. But there's a branch in Cabo, and the only reason I've ever stepped in it is actually to interview you. So for one of the past videos. Otherwise, everything's done electronically in an app, and the app is in English. And
Yes.
The banking is done online from that point. So even if you do need to be in Mexico and you do need to be in person at a bank to open an account, I think that's just kind of across the board in Mexico.
One time.
What's that? Just that one time, yeah.
It's one time. Or if we met before and I'm making sure you sign it, so you can go to Tijuana. If you just want to drive through California, you can go to Tijuana and sign it, or some other branch. You don't need to go to the same branch. Yeah.
Okay, so you have a branch in Tijuana.
Yes, we do.
Okay, that is convenient. So good.
Yes.
Yeah. That's
Yeah,
on my list of travel destinations for this spring is going over to San Diego and Tijuana. La Paz doesn't have a lot of direct flights, but Tijuana is one of them. So
you have to go. Tacos in Tijuana are great. And probably you heard a lot about Tijuana, so you know where you're going, right?
Yep. Yes, exactly. So I don't know how much time we'll spend on the Tijuana side. We're meeting up with people on the San Diego side. So
try going south of Tijuana, Brighton. There's a place called Ensenada and Rosarito. Yeah. Beautiful places also.
Yeah, definitely. And I have been to the wine valley up there too. Awesome. So, actually, sticking with this question, there are government bonds, CETES?
CETES?
Can you buy those if you're, can you buy those? Because there's CETES Direct, I guess. Can you buy those without being in Mexico? This is a question outside of Actinver, of course. This is just.
If you have an account in Mexico, you can buy them. Yes. Okay. But so there is also an ETF. I don't remember the name, but there is also an ETF. I think it's called CETETRAC, and it might be good in some other countries. Yeah?
Okay. Good to know. Okay, so I meant that banks have to report over 10K to the IRS, just like the old U.S. Customs form that always asked that question. Your opinion on Intercam Bank?
No, the banks are not obligated to report over 10K to IRS. It's not a requirement. Maybe it's an obligation from the customer, but not the banks. Okay.
Yeah, I think that's the FBAR, I think, requirement. There's that number is the FBAR requirement when you have an account over that you're
Yeah.
supposed to report it. But Intercam Bank, we've mentioned Intercam, I think, in a video before. But what do you think about Intercam? And maybe you could also talk about some of the other banks, Intercam and Banca Mifel. They seem to be two banks that are really targeting the expat market, just like Actinver is with your branch or your section. So first, let's talk about other banks like Intercam, because they do offer, you can buy CDs through them. There's some of these things, there is some overlap. So maybe you can explain where there's overlap and where there's not.
Well, I think that the offer on them, and I cannot say brands, but on other brands, will be more limited on investment side. Maybe you can purchase a CD or a SETE or something, but it is a smaller offer. You cannot access ETFs, you cannot access this type of Intercam. I think is very into foreign exchange. Different currencies, or having your card in Europe and spending some money over there. But on the investment side, their offer is smaller. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't really know about the personal attention, if that takes place or not. I haven't experienced their service, but what I know is our investment offer is a lot wider than the competition.
And one other thing I have to mention, because I do kind of have an opinion on Intercam, is because we did a video on this where I met someone who lost an awful lot of money because Intercam was giving a really bad exchange rate. And this is something where I think a lot of these banks that cater to the foreign market make a lot of money on the exchange rates, because they know that everyone has to, these foreign customers are going to be doing exchanges. That's, it's a big thing. And it's very hard to understand when someone is charging you incredible fees without labeling it a fee. So this person, story, Michelle was her name. She was building a house here, so she needed to bring down an awful lot of money. Something, there was a payment due or something, 300,000 Canadian dollars, and she ended up, the exchange rate was from the mid-market rate, it was off by like 50 centavos, which ended up being 20,000 Canadian dollars. So Intercam Bank made a lot of money doing this relatively simple transfer because of that rate. So maybe you can tell us about exchange rates at Actinver.
Well, I think more than that, Brighton, would be the advice would be that when you're sending currency, try to keep that currency in the same bank, right? And maybe if it's US dollar, what we have always advised you, and also you as a customer, is to send your US dollars to Mexico, and then we look for a good exchange rate, right? But at the end, the exchange rate is not my business. My business is financial advising, and if I give you a better exchange rate, you will have more capital and keep it invested with me. So it will be against my interest to charge you a high fee on the exchange, right? Mm-hmm. So normally, what you should be getting from your bank or whatever bank in Mexico will be, let's say, a difference between 10 and 5 cents, maybe from the spot at the most. And that should be like a normal thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So essentially, that would have brought the fee down to $1,000 instead of 20,000. So, yes. That's something, and it is very easy. And this was something, once this person told me that, I was like, wow, I have no idea. When I bought my house, I have no idea what the exchange rate was that my bank gave me. I probably looked at what it was on Google. I didn't actually look to see what it was that what Bank of America gave me. So
yeah, normally you're very excited when you're buying a home, right? And so some things just it's what it is, and you just accept them. But it's always negotiable. I mean, you need to see what it is, and you need to always ask how much you're going to be charged, how much the exchange going to be, and be sure to ask them. I mean, they should giving you information. But if they call you, say, well, okay, we changed it. Oh yeah, you say, yeah, of course, and you don't ask for the price. So it's like buying merchandise at a full price, right?
Yeah, exactly. Full price or extra.
Yes.
Okay, so let's go here. So here in the USA at a Santander Bank, if I had an account here in the US with them, could I use the branches in Mexico or Spain?
Yes.
And was told no. Do you know any difference? So yeah, so these kind of international banks.
Yeah, normally all the international banks, they need you to open the account in the country where you want to use the money, right? Like I was telling you guys before, like in Actinver, I mean, even if you open in Cabo, you can go to any branch to fix any problem, or to sign a new, or to have your new beneficiaries, or have a new account register, whatever you need to do. You can go to any of our branches, and our customers also have access to our offices or banks in the US and in Spain. But it is very common for international banks to separate the business, because of compliance. If you're being attended in Santander USA, you should have an executive in USA that takes care of you, and it was going to be different from what it's going to do in Mexico. Maybe an international transfer between Santander US and Santander Mexico can be a lot easier than from Santander US to Actinver, but that could be like the benefit. But you will need to open an account in Mexico in order to have the service over here.
Great, thank you for that. Also, what popped into my mind there was Actinver does not have a branch in La Paz, and you have what, about
Not
30
yet.
branches?
Not yet.
We're working on it. Okay, so you have like about 30 branches across Mexico, maybe
50-15 right now.
Okay, so for those of us who are in an area like La Paz, do you have any, like, if I don't use, I use you guys just as an investment bank. I don't, not a retail bank type of thing. I don't have an ATM card or anything like that. I just move my money around online. If someone were to bank with Actinver, could they get an ATM card? And is there any like agreement to use other people's ATMs?
Yes, we can use Scotia ATMs for free, and also Multiva, which is another brand that they have a lot of ATMs in Mexico, for free. The
Okay.
other ones will charge you from 25 pesos to 35 pesos. Okay.
Okay.
And it's very I mean, not funny, but it's interesting, because I mean, I was just with the owner of Actinver here in the kickoff, and not this time, but a few years ago, I asked him, we need to have ATMs, and he said, okay, well, the customer will need to pay for it. Will you have the customer pay for the ATMs? No. I say no. So we keep our fees very low on the investment side and everything, and we try to have very, very lean, cost effective. So we are the 5th asset manager in Mexico with very little, with a lot smaller infrastructure than the biggest banks.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we manage a lot of money with very small structure, so it's cost efficient and it's good for the customer as well.
Great.
So, but
Great.
that was the answer about ATMs.
Yep. Okay. That's perfect. That's perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you. My family has sent money to Mexico for CD daily interest accounts. It used to work really well, but since my mother-in-law passed away, I don't know how it works. So I'm not sure if you can comment on that.
Well, Diana, I don't know if you're a co-owner of the account. I mean, normally I suggest people to have a co-owner of their account because of whatever heritage, politics that it is in your country or not. But if you are a co-owner of the account, you should be served, or you should have someone to serve you. But if you're a beneficiary, you should go you need to go to the bank, show your mother-in-law death certificate, and ask for the money. But I mean, you should get a hold of someone in your bank. If it's Actinver, let me know and I can help you out. Okay.
Great, thanks. So DJ here in La Paz, I assume that U.S. citizens opening a bank account are required to have an RFC number. Is that correct?
No, I ask every international customer to give me their tax ID, tax number, or social security number, because my obligation is to state that you don't pay taxes in Mexico. Okay. So if you declare that you don't pay taxes in Mexico, I need to tell Mexican authorities, where do you pay taxes and what is your number? But that's a requirement. That's
Okay.
it.
Yeah, that
And
makes sense.
you will normally be assigned a generic RFC number, DJ, because we need to put that in the field in the system. But as you're a foreigner, you will have a generic RFC, and it wouldn't be you don't need it, no?
Okay.
Yet.
Yes, exactly. It seems like the RFSA is becoming more and more necessary. Like, I think CFE requires it as of a couple years ago. So forgive me for asking a lot of questions, but I love the questions. Thank you. Keep them coming. Mexico have FDIC or to protect investors up to 250K with each account. So
Yes, in
insurance.
Mexico it is based in UDIs, which is Unidad de Inversión, which means unit of investment, and it is a measurement that takes count inflation in Mexico. So right now, if I recall well, it is around 3.2 million pesos that you're insured by Mexican authorities for your account. Okay, in pesos.
Okay, so
So
about
and also
160,000 US
yeah,
dollars.
and also on this behalf in Mexico also, I mean that's on cash and on maybe CDs, you know. But if you're holding assets like stocks or funds or everything, there is a third party that is and it's also government regulated, and it's called Indeval, which is the custody of the assets of every customer. So I mean, the bank has your money and they bought the assets, but you have the custodian, like let's say in the States, it's like Mellon Bank and different New York Mellon Bank and different banks. It also exists that in Mexico. So let's say your bank in Mexico disappears tomorrow. You have your statement, you have your name, and your funds and everything is deposited in the custody organism. Okay.
Okay, great. That's good to know. Good to know. Do you have credit cards connected to an account with interest?
Not yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
It says credit cards connected to an account with interest. That's an interesting concept for me, but yeah, I'll trust that it's a thing that. Oh, look at that! Don't forget to like. So be sure to like,
Nice.
subscribe, comment.
Nice.
All those good things. Share with your friends because this is good information. And I do want to say that I'm not only a customer with Actinver, but I'm a partner with Actinver. So this is a partnership that I have to keep you guys informed about Actinver. So just I want to make sure that that is disclosed.
Nice. Just on the side of on credit and loans in Mexico, Brighton, it's very hard for a foreigner to get a loan in Mexico because you don't have a credit history in Mexico.
Yep.
And what we're doing or what we do is we do a back-to-back loan. So our guarantee is your money, and we give you I think you call it back-to-back in the States, or equity loan maybe. So we lend you a certain percentage of your investment, and you automatically will start making a credit history in Mexico to access further, let's say a mortgage or something different that you want to access in the future.
Very good. Very good. Our bank accounts insured. Okay, looks like we have the same question about the same time. Concern about double taxation. If I'm declaring and reporting foreign income from banking activities on my tax returns, but you are automatically withholding from Mexico, then essentially double taxed.
No, when you're obligated, let's say Mexico tax you 10%, and in the US you're obligated to pay 20%. Let's say you deduct the 10% you pay in Mexico, and you only owe the IRS the rest of 10%. You know.
And you get a statement. Is that correct? At the end of the year, that says, "Hey, Brighton had this much income, and we took out 10%, and that's been taxed." So I can then use, if I'm reporting the Mexican income, the Mexico sourced income in the United States, then I can also use that same form to say, "Hey, this is what has already been paid."
And the IRS should say, yes, you pay 10% over there, but you owe me my other 10%, and that's kind of how it's been working. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. So okay. I need a refill on my tequila sunrise. Exactly.
Yeah, me too.
We're getting close to the end here, so otherwise I'd yell for Kat. Kat, if you're still watching, come on in here and get me another tequila sunrise. Okay, so here. How do you see Kodak evolving in a world far from its film camera heyday? Okay, wait a minute, I'm lost here. Is that their like ticker symbol or something?
Yes.
Okay, well, we're going to go on to the next question. I really should read these questions in advance just in case. How about investments in Bitcoin?
In Mexico, cryptocurrencies are seen as it was monopoly money. It doesn't really exist for the Mexican authorities yet. There are some platforms in Mexico where you can buy them, but they're not real money for the Mexican IRS yet. So you can buy cryptocurrencies in Mexico, but not through any formal bank. Is forbidden for them to do it. Okay,
great. So Luke here is saying that back-to-back sounds like a S block or a margin loan in the US.
Yes, there you go.
Kat says I'm funny. I'm not sure that. I think that means that my glass is
You're
staying
not gonna get the tequila.
I'm not getting a refill here. So, okay. I remember when they did my PR, permanent residency, a couple years ago. You had to go to the bank to do your pago de derechos. So glad that future app. Oh, okay, yeah. So this is something. This isn't having to do with banking necessarily, except that that INM now you're able to pay directly to INM, whereas back in the day, yep, when I did my permanent residency, you had to take your little piece of paper and walk across the street to a bank and pay at the bank, and then walk back across the street with your receipt. So, yeah, things are changing in Mexico pretty quickly.
In some states in Mexico, you need to do that to get your passport as Mexican. You need, well, not in every state, but in some states you need to go with paper to the bank and to make the payment there. It's crazy.
Yeah, yeah, and then actually, similar thing happened when I tried to register my car for Mexican plates. That I had to go somewhere
Solo el
else.
ron, lo demás yo tengo con hielo. Sorry.
That's okay. And then it ended up not working out. So now I've got to go back to the bank, but I've got to go back to the first place to get the go to aduana to get the little note that I can take to the bank that says, "Give me back my money." So it definitely just keeps getting more complicated. So Mike's got a question here. If you had 50K to invest in CDs, which country would you invest it in? Interesting. So this is a tough calculation because you also have to look at those exchange rates. So I think the exchange rates are still going to go up in terms of the Mexican peso is going to get weaker. But say I was going to do that maybe later this summer or in the next number of weeks when it's probably going to be up around 21, up around the high that it will be, I would probably choose to invest it in Mexico because it's not, during the life of the CD, I can get 10% instead of, 4% or something. I might get in a CD in the United States. So that would be my thoughts. Bernardo, is that good thinking?
You have a spread. What you say, you have a spread of 6%, right? So in that calculations you made. So for the oh man, wait, I had a cramp in my leg. Sorry. In order to be beneficial for you, right? The dollar could only go as high as 21.80. That will be your top.
Yeah.
If it doesn't, if it does go higher, maybe you're losing some money on the dollars. But if it doesn't go higher than 21.80, then you're making a good decision. Yeah. But it's if you only had 50K, well, you will have will have 20K in Mexico and 30 in the States. Not always.
Mm-hmm.
But if you have some 50K that you want to diversify, then I will go into pesos and make the 10% and different. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it's good to just, as you mentioned, the diversification. I mean, I bought a bunch of pesos when it was like at 16 or something, or 16.8. I was like, bad timing, but it happens, but it's good to have both. And so that way I can also like pull out money, depending on how the exchange rate is going. I've got money sitting around.
Just for you to know, guys, for example, any Mexican that invests their money, maybe they have also 50% in US dollars and 50% in pesos. That's kind of the regular.
Yeah, that's good to know. Good to know. Yeah, this works both ways. So, do you have an office in Nayarit?
Only in Vallarta, not yet in Tepic, but in Vallarta, yes.
Okay, so not too far. So, depending on where they are, the minimum limit to open an account. That's a great question.
Well, right now, to get personal attention, it is 100,000 pesos, which is close to $5,000. Yeah. We have other platforms that you can manage yourself with lower amounts, but it is from 100,000 pesos and above. A few years ago, we started to open smaller accounts because Actinver has a really good project of democratizing investment. But then we had a lot of customers coming in the office. People was very, very busy. And we were losing a little bit that thing that I tell is like our highlight is service. It's a personalized service. So we need to put a little bit higher break on that. And it is 100,000 pesos at this moment.
Okay.
Well, just for you to know, what happens is not that you close the account, but what happens if, let's say, you have 3 months lower than 100,000 pesos, then your account will be sent to corporate or to Mexico, and you will need to be attended in the call center or in the app. That's it. That's what happens. But you can have a lower amount. Yeah.
But not with a personal banker anymore.
Yes.
Okay. So do you have an app similar to Wise?
No, I mean Wise is beautiful. I mean we're working on our app. I like it, and I've been part of the development. But it's mostly used to do third-party payments in the Mexican system. You cannot do international payments in our app yet. You can buy investment funds. All our offer of funds are in the platform as well. And we also have another platform that is called Bursanet that is used to buy stocks and ETFs and everything in the open market in Mexico.
Okay, so you have an app, just not as slick as Wise and not able to do
Yes.
the exchange through
Yeah.
the app.
Yeah, it's not Wise. I mean, I see it. It's very nice. A lot of technology in it, but it's very different. Yeah.
Yeah. So, well, great. We are at the top of the hour and we are at the end of the questions. So I've already put in, maybe I can do it again. It's probably still on my clipboard. Bernardo's email address. If you want to send him something, if you are going to be opening an account, and you want, I think I've got I'll make sure that there's a link from my page so that people know that you are connected with me, that you're connected with this webinar. When you open your account, I'd be grateful for that. But go into Actinver. If you got one, if you've got a bank in your area, just walk right in the door and say, hey, I want to open an account. So, and it's going to take a little bit of time, but yeah, can someone, I'd say someone can walk right in, but I think you got to get some paperwork going beforehand. It's not a right away thing.
Well, I always I advise people to contact us first because we can get a lot of work done before the visit. But if you go with your documents to the bank, it will take like 2 hours and a half or 2 hours to get your account open. So if we have everything in advance, we have everything printed, you can get in 15 minutes your account is open. But I also want to tell your audience, Brighton, that questions don't cost money. I mean, I'm an advisor. I like what I do. I like answering questions because what's going on in the world and what's going on in Mexico is very interesting. And so if you have any questions about banking in Mexico or about the market or about whatever you want to know, I'd be glad to answer. Okay, it's not just business.
Okay, awesome, thanks. One last question. Mark says, "Can I open it from the USA?" And I think I know the answer, and the answer is no. You've got
No,
to
you can send me everything in advance, and we can do all the paperwork. But we will need to see you physically in any of our branches. We need to make sure that it's Mark who is signing the document physically. That's also part of Mexican regulation, banking regulation, that is about money laundering and all this stuff that I already talked about. But it is an obligation from the banker to identify you as a person in front and to make sure who you are signing.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Bernardo, and thanks
And
to
just
all.
a small parenthesis. Sorry.
Yep.
Right now, Mexicans can open an account online with certain limits, like very low amount, but it's not yet approved for foreigners still because of border and regulation stuff. But it might come. It might come soon. Yeah.
Okay. Good to know. Good to know. So, well, thank you all. And Butters says good night. If those of you who watch often know that Butters is my Mexican street dog. He's probably already asleep. He loves his sleep, so he's already in bed. I'm sure of it. So, folks are saying thanks. More interviews like this. Yeah, I would love to do more of this. So. Yeah, if you guys have questions, you can leave those down in the comments. Bernardo's not going to see all the comments there. So if you wanted something specifically for him, make sure you send an email. I'll make sure that email address is in the description that you'll be able to click there. Also, the link to open an account or to start that process will be down in the description. Once again, thank you, Bernardo, and enjoy the rest of your evening there in Querétaro. And let's do this again soon.
Yes. Thank you, Brighton.
Okay.
Bye,
Hasta
guys.
luego.